We are back for round 2. I have some more questions for the couple here.
Okay, let it go, kid.
All right. Where did you get married and when?
We got married in the Bronx, New York at the Paradine Manor on May 13th, 1956, and it was Mother's Day on a Sunday.
On a Sunday.
And it's very muggy.
And the ceremony was at 6 p.m.
Okay. How many people were there?
About 120, I think. I don't remember for sure, but I think it was about 120.
Did you have a maid of honor or best man? Or?
Yes.
Maid of honor was Aunt Darlene, and best man was my brother Lou. And then we had 10 ushers.
10 ushers, I think. 8 or 10 ushers, I don't remember.
Okay, and where did you honeymoon?
We went to the Neverly Country Club in the Catskills. And Papa got a very famous screw that went on the lapel for all honeymoon couples.
It wasn't a screw. It was a Oscar with a screw on the back.
So you wore this thing?
We wore it every night to dinner.
Only on the honeymoon, not on the wedding day?
No, we didn't get it till we got on the honeymoon.
Hmm.
That was a gift from the hotel.
Oh.
That was they had a lot of honeymooners there.
Okay. What did your parents do for work?
My mother was a furrier and a seamstress, and my father had a fruit business until he lost that during the Depression, and then he just worked in the fruit business at a fruit stand.
Business like the boys?
Pretty much, yeah. He had his own store. Yeah. He was very successful, but in the Depression he lost everything. And he had a 3-family home on Bronx River Parkway, and it was an all-brick 3-story house. And he took all the relatives, had a story. My mother's family lived with them. The grandparents, my mother's parents lived there, and my aunt and uncle lived there. And then everything was lost in the Depression. And
my mother and father owned a grocery store. And my father worked on drove a taxi in New York, besides owning a grocery store.
I don't know that. Let's see. What was your first job, Graham?
My first job was, I was a camp counselor up when we used to go away for the summer, but that wasn't a real job. But I worked in a dress shop one summer, which I hated. I just had to stock clothes and everything. I was 16 years old. And then I filled in for my sister's friend who was a bookkeeper. And it was a 1-girl office, so I did everything for her for 2 weeks. And so that's where I probably got the idea to go into accounting, when I didn't finish college. Mm-hmm. So that was my first part-time job. And then when I went out for a real job, I went for bookkeeping. That's what I went for.
I think we know your story, but
he was.
First, I worked in all part-time jobs when I was a kid, and I delivered orders in my mother's grocery store. I delivered orders for a drugstore. I delivered orders for a fruit stand. Then I worked for a cleaning store, and then when I got out of school, I started working for a jewelry company. I used to make engagement rings and wedding rings. And I hated that.
We should have called you.
That's where my ring was made.
And I hated that, so I left there, and I went to work for the, and then I went to to Governor's Island? No. Then I went to work. Then I went to school for hairdressing, and when I finished that, I had to wait a while to get a job.
To get his
So
license.
I went to work for the government at Fort Che, Governor's Island. And I had the most boring job in the world. I worked 1 hour a day. I was there for 8 hours. I was there for 8 hours. I worked for an hour.
Well, his uncle was a customs inspector, very successful. He said, get any job with the government and then I'll push you up. But he really didn't like it at all, so he didn't stay there.
And I got into hairdressing, and that was it.
And now we're your only customers.
No, he's still
I'm
working.
kidding.
I still work.
3 hours on Friday.
I got a big job. I worked Friday for 3 hours, sometimes.
Where did you buy your first house and how much did it cost?
We bought a resale in Plainedge, Long Island, and it was behind the Jolly Roger. You wouldn't know it. You weren't around then.
$17,000.
And we took over their mortgage, and
What year was that?
1958. We were married in 56. 2 years later, my brother said, can you afford $1 a day more than what we were paying in rent? And I said, oh, yeah, we could manage that, not too much more. But when we went out, you start looking for $14,000. We ended up a resale for $17,000. But it had a completely finished basement. It was a ranch, one level. And finished basement with a bar and
A wet bar.
a wet bar.
With a full bathroom downstairs
Yes.
also.
So
With a shower and, it was everything. It had a big cedar closet. You walk into, it was like
It was
unbelievable.
tremendous. It was the whole size of the upstairs. And then as the kids were born there, your mom first in 61, and we moved there in 58, so she was born 3 years later. And then Aunt Cheryl was born there in 64, and Aunt Donna was born in our Kings Park house when we moved out there. So, and we had all of their first birthday parties down in the basement with 1 million people. And it was great. A big barbecue.
What about your first car and how much was that?
My first car. Your grandmother bought me a car when I graduated hairdressing school. $250, a used car, 1950 Ford. And I went to pick her up right after we got the car. And I'm always pretty early rather than late. And it was before phones, cell phones and stuff like that. So I'm driving along and I get a flat tire. So I pull into a gas station, I change the tire and I pull into a gas station, he fixes the tire, go a little further, get another flat tire. I changed that tire, had that fixed. I got to the house about an hour and a half late. And she was like crazy already because I'm never late, so. And that was my first car.
What color?
It was a blue 1950 Ford.
Very nice.
A relic.
What music groups were your favorite?
Frank Sinatra was my favorite. I loved Al Jolson. And my brother bought me his album. And that was special. And we liked Tony Bennett. And that was our wedding song, Because of You, by Tony Bennett. And who else? We
That's
liked
about
the 50s music was great.
Yeah.
We liked a lot of the music. The Temptations, the Platters. It was
Doo-doo?
good time. Doo-doo Fisher? No. No, he's now. He's a now person.
How old were you when you got your first TV?
Well, I didn't have a TV till I was probably 13 or 14 years old when my parents got a TV in the apartment. Every Sunday night we went down, my cousin Rita and my grandparents and my aunt and uncle lived one floor beneath us at 1314 Grand Conquest, that's where I lived. And every Tuesday night we saw Milton Berle, and Sunday night Ed Sullivan. Those were the big shows on TV. And then we got our own TV.
And we used to go to a candy store, or a luncheonette, whatever you want to call it. And they had like a jukebox television. You put a quarter in, it lasted for 15 minutes. So there were like 4 men there with the families. And they just put a quarter in, and we used to watch Milton Berle and Ed Sullivan and Sid Caesar. And, you know, that's how we watched it until we got our own TV.
How old were you when you got your own TV?
I have no idea.
And what are your favorite shows now?
Now? You like Blue Blood?
There are a lot of shows. I like
Bull?
SWAT,
Do you watch Bull? No?
Bull, SWAT,
Law and Order?
Law and Order, SVU. A lot of good shows, a lot of those.
We like movies also.
A Designated Survivor, which is great.
We used to love law movies. Well, Bull is sort of a law kind of show episode. Interesting. Court cases.
Any other fun facts?
No.
Let's see. We watch a lot of TV now with politics, which we never did in our whole lives.
Never before.
What are your hopes for this world?
Peace on earth, please, dear God. Yeah. And that we don't kill ourselves off. It's
But we're losing a lot of friends over the world.
All right, until next time.
Okay, you come up with
That's
new
it.
questions.
You.
which ones
Okay.
did your mother provide?